Yeah, I think I was also kind of thinking about it, right? Because the topic of the panel is about community building. So I think the very first community that I recognize and that I know very clearly I'm part of, I can never run away from, is my family. So I think that's my the family that I grew up with, and the family that I'm still trying my best to grow up with. Yeah, so that's my first community, because I think a lot of things I learned from there. Yeah, just by being my family, all the different unique characters. Yeah. The other community, of course, that I'm part of is my work. At work, Pivotal. Either you can see me as I'm from Pivotal Learning or Pivotal Youth, because I do trainings on both sides. Basically, we do youth trainings, youth leadership trainings. So, in order for the work that we do to happen, right, we have a huge bunch of facilitators whom we work with. Without them, the work is not possible. So that is a huge community that I'm part of. And I think for me, okay, so the way it works is in our company, we are actually quite a small company. So we are trainers first, and then we all have a secondary role in the company. Like if someone could be doing marketing, someone will be doing operations, right? For me, I have all these years been a facil liaison. So I'm literally the person who's always in touch with my facilitators, working with them. And part of our work is also making sure that our facilitators go through their own self-development and their own growth as we do the same work with our clients as well, which we know which are our who are our youth leaders lah. So these are, I think, community. No, I think I'm definitely part of these communities, and I'm also growing with these communities, and I'm learning a lot from them. Yeah, which I hope later I can share a little bit more. Is that good for introduction, Mr. Siva?
Yes, Lana, definitely. Would you like to hear from someone
I would
else?
like to hear from Miss Gina Tay. Let's go.
Hello and good morning. Yeah, so hi everybody. Really, really happy to be here. I think like Siva, right? I was just expecting like 10 plus people. Then when I saw the numbers, then my heart like like beat very fast. Now still a bit nervous, but I think like we'll settle into the conversation, and like I have so many wonderful people with me. So I think we'll have lots of fun today. Yeah. So I think for myself, I'm currently working in Green Nudge, which is a green social enterprise. So I guess from a work end, the community that I'm part of is like the sustainability or like the green community. And like there are a lot of people who are in that community for different reasons, like different personal reasons. And I think it's really interesting to be part of that and to be able to see the range of where everyone comes from. And I think other than on the work end, I think personally for me, I also see myself as part of my religious community as well. That also brings a whole different perspective to things because of the range of people that I see. And I think, of course, jumping back to the work end as well, right? Because we not only work on the ground, that means like working with community organizations, we also work with a lot of corporates as well. And like I think the differences that you see is a lot. And I think later, as we go into the session deeper, I hope to share a little bit more on that as well, and how beautiful that range is, I guess. So that's for me, and then I will pass on to Shaina.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. Thanks for joining us Thanks for joining us this morning. My name is Shaina, and I'm a founder from Brave Feeds community. I'm still trying to get used to it because I used to be called Hopscotch Student Care, and we just rebranded, and I think this is also part of community, which hopefully I'll share later how did Hopscotch became Brave Feeds. So how I came about this community for student care, I think it stemmed from me asking why. And then along the way, when I asked why, and then I found something that I think I can plug myself into. So I guess that was how I became a part of the community for children, for parents, for like-minded individuals who are keen to do something. And typically would be, I have no background, I have no money, but I have this vision. And I resonate a lot with them because that was where I came from. I came from no background. So my background is business, no background in children, education, but I told myself that I want to create this. So I created something from nothing. At the same time, this community that I belong to is something that I feel is constantly evolving, because I think that I need to make the changes, or if I want something, then I need to create it. So I think I come from this space. But at the same time, I'm very fortunate that I met the folks from Common Ground who were the first to believe in my vision. Otherwise, I wouldn't even have a space in Common Ground. So I'm grateful that a lot of people believed in what we do. So as community builders, I feel that it's so important that we find people who believe in us, and people that do, even though they think that we are crazy, they still say, let's do it. You know, of course we are crazy. If you're not crazy, then what are we doing? Half a crazy maybe. Yeah. So so at Common Ground, there's this huge community that everybody, I feel we are beating with the same heartbeat, but we are all doing our own thing. But the atmosphere, that hub, it's like kampong. I always say Common Ground is a kampong, and I wish that all of you can find that kampong where all your peers are doing different things, but everybody is moving together, inspiring each other, and that's how I feel right now after starting this journey for the past 3 years. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. I think just that short introduction, there are a lot of stories that are coming up, and some of the things that came up for me that surfaced in the room is I'm not going to go one by one, but I think part of why the community exists and how we put ourselves there are the different perspectives, the individuals that are involved, right? Because as much as it's a community, it's a makeup of individuals. And I think something that Shaina said that caught my attention is the vision, right? Why do we exist, and why does this community need to be present here in the first place? And I do have a question though. It's very recent, right? I mean, we are in the times of COVID, and we are still in recovery, and no doubt, right? The nature of COVID has affected so many communities out there, be it businesses, be it a group of individuals, be it frontline efforts. I'm curious, like how the past 2 years has your community kind of moved, or what are the conversations that's happening, or what was the struggles in the communities that you're involved in for the past 2 years with COVID? I like how Gina is just looking up for the answers.
Gina, I'm also thinking. Okay, I'll just probably go first with whatever is coming up for me
Yes.
at this point in time. I think with COVID, initially it was really a huge challenge for us, because for so many years we've been doing program. Our programs have been running face to face. Right, we're always on the ground with the students. We are taking a walk somewhere, hiking somewhere, in a classroom, in the school hall and things like that. So when COVID hit, right, literally overnight, we couldn't do what we used to do. And so the team clearly had a challenge. And I want to say we took it head on, but I think initially it was very natural that we were all a bit shaken by it, wondering, okay, where do we go from here, and what do we do? And we did slow down for a while, but I'm just very proud to say that for my team, we slowed down a bit, but we didn't slow down for too long, because what really got us to say, okay, we are still going to move, is we felt that cannot be because of COVID, then our leaders that year don't get to experience our leadership trainings. Then what if we slow down? Then what is the message? I mean, sorry, it's not about slowing down, but if we don't do something about it, then what is the message we're going to give to the youth leaders that we're going to work with? Yeah, so that's when I really felt the strength of the team coming together, not because we knew what to do, not because we know how to go about doing this, but our why was very clear. That's why I think, China, what you share is really powerful, because for us it was really the why, our vision that really got our asses moving, you know. And although we don't know how, right, we're just like, okay, we have to move, we had to find a way, and we came together, we had so many conversations, I would like to think effective ones, yeah, that got us eventually moving. And I can say we successfully shifted our trainings online. And I still remember some of the moments, you know, I mean, yeah, we're talking about community, right? Our trainers, we had like a lot of ideas around how can we create certain experiences online. You know, for example, when you're climbing a mountain, you likely, you know, will have an experience of resilience, right? But how do we get people to experience resilience online, right? Yeah, so our trainers had a lot of ideas. Okay, maybe we can do this, maybe we can do this. But it's like, how do we know it's going to work, right? So all we needed to do was send out a message to our facilitators saying, guys, we actually have some ideas. Would you all be willing to come online and help us to go through the experience and give us feedback, and let's work through this? The response was overwhelming, right? And our facilitators really jumped in. They came in, they put their participant hat on and they play like never before. And then after that, they were willing to put that thing down and then look at it from a facilitator trainer point of view, give us feedback. There's just so much good work that happened. And like I said, without our facilitators, we will never be able to do the work that we do. And I'm so grateful that's how things turned out for us when COVID hit. Yeah, so yeah, that's what's coming up for me right now when you ask that question.
Yeah, it's a very powerful move, right? When the community is shaken and when it's under pressure to find ways to move. It's just how much people are just willing to come in together and go, okay, how do we make this work? Right? It sounds like it really takes a lot of time and a lot of work put in to actually develop or build this community even in the first place. That the people within are just so ready to move. Yeah, it's actually amazing. Gina? Yeah.
And just now I was gonna call out Shaina because she raised her hand to scratch. Then I thought she volunteered herself, you know. But I can go first. So I think I really liked what Lina said, all the nas I realized. Yeah, I think like what really came to mind was in Chinese there's a phrase, right? 危机, which is like crisis, but when you look at the two words, right, it is also like an opportunity in crisis. Yeah, so I think in during the pandemic itself, while you know on a company end there were a lot of struggles because a lot of our activities were like big group based, like you know, like coastal cleanups and stuff like that. So there were a lot of activities that we couldn't carry out, and I think that took a really big hit on our, you know, like revenue streams and stuff like that. But I think at the same time, because of like the whole like national crisis on like the food crisis, right? So like everyone was rushing to like NTUC to like buy and stock up on food, and then like everyone's like, oh my god, like there's a shortage. And then I think that's when like the government went a bit like ding 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 ding, like, oh, like there's a very big like food crisis that was coming up. And then I think on top of that, you know, the whole you know, with like the Green Plan 2030 that addresses on food security issues as well, and also a lot of other aspects, right? COVID really brought up many points of alarm and in a way also push the whole sustainability scene forward. Yeah. When I think near to, let's say, November, December of 2020, I think we started to receive a lot of requests and desires for people to volunteer and on their own individual basis do something for the environment and for sustainability. And I think that was when Green Nudge as well as Sam Tian from Sustainable actually came out with the East Coast Beach Plan. So essentially, it's a really, really simple thing where you you join a Telegram group and then you look for people who want to go just do a cleanup on an individual basis. And that was where we really saw like a community of people come together individually together to sort of like do something for sustainability. And I think when 2021 came about and right now we are in 2022, that group is still very much flourishing, and every day there are people joining in and being like, hey, you know, like how do I go about to, you know, do my part for the environment? And then like people would just very, very happily share their resources. And I think like while COVID was really, really painful, it was also really helpful in pushing the community forward and bringing more people in as well. Yeah, so that's for me. So over to you, Shaina.
Nice.
Thank you, Gina and Lina. If I recall, when I first started hearing the news, I think it was 2020 in January. I think that was in the news. I think at that point of time, I was, oh shit, that was really what I was thinking. I had about 40 children with me. No, actually 2020 was only 20 plus kids with me. And immediately my first reaction is, okay, how to protect them? You know, like the typical mother hen. I'm actually known as a mother hen also, another name in common ground, like how do I protect them? And what can I do? But there wasn't any much government things until the circuit breaker hit. And I remember right before the circuit breaker, there was chaos and our children were lost. I can see in their face, I can see in their gaze, I can see in their entire being. Whether or not it's from their parents, from school, I guess, and everything around them was things that they are not familiar with. Because us, we are also not familiar with what's going on. So, as a community builder, as a community that supports children and supports parents, my first question was, what can I do for them? What can I do for my kids? What can I do for working parents? That was right before circuit breaker. And there were things that we did, but I made sure that everything that we did, we relayed back to our vision, and we were very clear. I am a service provider for working parents. I'm a service provider for children. So every single decision I make sure that we have them in mind for them to adapt or cope with the current situation. And so at that point of time, I already told my team, let's start to prepare our online learning. That is even before circuit breaker. So I'm a person got plan B to plan E one. I'm a person, okay, there's okay, plan A, plan B, plan C, okay. You know, I sound like a planner, but only when it comes to this, okay, my husband will totally don't agree with you that I'm a planner. Totally don't agree. But when it comes to, I think, the business, then I am a planner. But for the rest of it, like holidays, he hates it that he has never ever that I've never planned anything. So back to my thing. So I had all these plans that I told my staff, okay, let's do the online learning. Let's stand by at least about 5 to 6 lessons, okay? And this is the structure that I want, okay? So how did I come about that at a point of time is that, again, I'm a service provider for working parents. So if any time there's a lockdown, means that what parents might be working from home. That means they are stuck with the children. Okay, sorry to use the word stuck, but they are accompanying the children, or the children are with them in the same household the whole day. And so I decided to make the structure such that in the morning when they need to clear emails, we are with the kids. And then the kids will break for lunch for about 2 hours. And when they need to settle down, we will be with the kids all the way until near dinner time. That was how my online structure was, because I was trying my best to bring the kids to me. Either way, in my mentality was, they are going to have screen time anyway, right? Parents are definitely going to give them YouTube, Netflix. Why don't they have screen time with me? And that was when I also opened up publicly to anybody in Singapore, whoever can join. Then there are some parents that come to me and say, I don't have money to pay. At the point of time, I think I was $5 or $10 per session. I kept it very affordable and the session was practically the whole day, like about something like that. Yeah, I can't remember. Anyways, there were a lot that came in for free because the parents just said I cannot afford and all this. Then that's fine. And in that time of the structure, the content that I do, again, I ask myself, why am I doing this? Is it just to take their time away from school? No, I'm doing this. I want to make sure I can connect to my children, to what is going on. So the curriculum or the content of Hopscotch or Brave Feeds is always, what can I give to the children so that they can apply immediately? So at that point of time, it was to apply to the changes that I'm afraid of, or apply to changes that I'm fearful of. So that was what's going on. The entire circuit breaker, we did online learning the whole time, which is something that other student cares do not do. A lot of student cares, one is they charge full price for their 3 months, but they don't do anything, right? Because they say, that's not a problem. Actually, it's true. It's not a problem. Not circuit breaker. Yeah. But then there's another one that, okay, I think not good. I don't charge. I don't charge you for 3 months because you're not coming. Okay. Then there's a third one, which I decided that I will be the third option, which is, who cares? Okay, anyway, I have my children with me, they're at home, I'm going to do something about it. So I think constantly in my mind, I'm always like, who cares about what other people do? Okay, I don't want to follow other people, because if whatever people do is not something that resonates with me and my values, then why am I doing it? I always think, what is my existence as Shiner Yu, or my existence as Brave Feeds founder or Hopscotch founder? Right? And that's where it started going for the entire COVID. Was it tough? It was, because it's sometimes not, we have to remind children, wear masks, we have to remind children all this. And I think we have to constantly hold space for the children that comes through. Why? Because in the morning for 6 hours, the children are segregated, separated, cannot talk to best friend, follow up, that I think you guys know how it is. When they come through to us for the next 6 hours, should I be doing that? Right? And I thought to myself, no, I shouldn't be doing that. So I held a community with my parents, okay? And I told my parents, look, okay, I know everybody need to be segregated now. I will do it. I'll make sure I have the acrylic dividers and all this, but I will not segregate them for any activities. Okay, they will still be together, but all of us will be masked on. We make sure they sanitize. So is there a huge risk that I'm taking? Yes, huge risk. But I also got the buy-in from the parents. I said, there's no way I want to do this for our kids when they are already all segregated and they don't have any canteen time, recess time. Even in their classroom is quiet because nobody's supposed to talk much. That was the start. And so how did COVID affect me? Okay, back to the point. Maybe I steer off a bit. Sorry. So back to the point about COVID, how did it affect? I believe that whatever that comes, whether is it COVID or other kind of crisis that come, as a community builder, you need to ask yourself, who are you serving? Who are you in service for? And am I value adding to their life? I think that's, for me, the most important. And for me, every decision I make, I must value add to their life. I must make sure that I'm holding space for them. I am giving them the maximum options for them to make a choice on their own. Oh, yeah, okay. Okay, Ken. That's it for me. Sorry, my son just came in.
No. Thank you, Shaina.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, the struggles are so real. I mean, it's not exactly the same, but yeah, all three of you in your community, there was some form of struggle that required you to really start questioning yourself, like, why am I doing this? And, how can I be of service to others? And something came up to me was, as much as you are part of a business or you are owning the business, but the way that you hold yourselves and question, it's like, what do I do? How do I move forward and make this decision? It speaks and it brings so much power into the room where you really start to understand and question, why, the importance of why do I make this decision and why do I make this stand. And I also see that, three of you are very much you have so much of time and effort that you spend in the community, building them, developing them, and working through so many difficult decisions. But I'm going to swing to the other side and ask you, where if you could offer words, right, of understanding, or if you could offer some knowledge to anyone that wants to come and be part of a community, what would that be? For someone who is looking to be part of a community, what would you offer them? What would be the words that you give them? Or what would you like them to know about the importance of the community that you stand for? That when these people come in, they're ready. Loving the thoughtfulness going on.
I can go first this time.
Awesome.
I think for me is that how I see a community is that there's something, like there's a bigger goal that we are all working towards, but how each of us in the community relate to that goal is different. Yeah. And you are part of the community when you find that personal relevance of how you relate to that bigger goal. Yeah. So people who are already in the community can share their viewpoints, but you yourself have to decide whether that's for you. Yeah. And I think for myself, if I were to offer some words, right, to people who want to join a community, it's that there should be an alignment within yourself, and a certain like self-awareness as well, to understand why you want to be part of that community and what you think your role is. Yeah, because if you just go into a space and be like, oh, like this is like some new thing, like, wow, sustainability, like so fancy, everyone wants to be part of it, I want to like grow my own garden for fun, just put in my, like, like put in like my mojito or something, like that's fine. That's fine. You just have to be clear within yourself, like, what am I doing this for? Yeah. And I think so the two words that I will offer, or one word, is self-awareness lah. Yeah, just be aware. Yeah.
Nice. Gina, would you like to hear from anyone? China or Lina?
Let's go in the
Let's jumble up the order.
Lina is, go for it, Lina.
Yeah, I was I really like what you shared, Gina. And then while you're sharing, I'm listening and also thinking at the same time. Words that I'll be sharing. I think somehow, right, when Gina, when you share, right, the metaphor that came to my mind is yeah, you'll just try to follow me, okay? But it's just something that popped up. Like it's like a bus interchange, So in a bus interchange, everyone knows that, okay, when I go there, I got a lot of bus options, and the buses are all there for one reason, is to transport people, right? But the buses, right, all have different routes that they take, right? And the different people driving the different buses. So that's kind of how I think, I won't say exactly, but that's the metaphor that came out when I look at it. How does my community, how do people in Pivotal, right? How do we operate, right? When the facilitators join us or the trainers join us, we all know why we are there, and that's the very first thing, and actually the biggest thing that brings all of us together, which is we have interest in working with our youths, right? We see the importance, as cliche as it sounds, right? Our youths are our leaders of tomorrow. If we want our a few years down the road to be good, right, we need to start working with our younger ones so that, they start to see things, not just like this, but a little bit more, right? Yeah. And so when our trainers and facilitators come in, yeah, they are like the buses lah. They are the ones that, are doing the actual work on the ground, transporting the people, moving the people. But it's not like we are all taking the same route, right? I think that will be a bit like it kind of works but a bit dysfunctional. So I think all of us, we have our own ways, to get there. But we are all very clear what we are here for and what needs to happen. But it can look very differently. And the community need to hold space, right? Yeah, because China also keeps saying hold space, right? I think, yeah, that word is very important. Hold the space for different people to find their own ways to make things happen, right? But every time we come back to the station, right, we know, okay, we are all here, we are congregating, we have things to do together. Yeah, so it's like doing together, yet doing it on our own, all at the same time, which I think is a very important thing that people need to know when they come into the pivotal space, that this is what the space is about, right? And I can still find my own way around things. That's one, the thing that came up. The other thing is something that we always tell, I always share with my facilitators when we are first inducting them into our space, right? Is we are not looking for someone who is competent. Of course, if you're competent, you come in amazing. It's like a bonus, Yeah, but that's not what we're looking for. When we look for someone to join our community, it is really someone with right attitude. So when Gina, when you talk about awareness, I'm totally with you, right? At least you need to have some awareness of yourself, right? Like you may not know exactly who you are, all your values. It's not like you need to have them all straight in your book, right? But at least, right, you have the attitude of you are curious enough about yourself. You're curious enough about the people you're working with. You're curious enough for the people that we are serving or that we are trying to create impact with, right? So I think that is really important. And I always tell my facilitators this, competency and skill build. Competency is something we can build. We can do skill building. We can do a lot of trainings. And in fact, you go anywhere, you can also train yourself and learn the skills. But the attitude is something that you either have it or you don't have it, right? Yeah. So I think curiosity is definitely one of the things I would say that helped us in our community a lot. Like really just being curious about things and then take it from there. What else? Yeah, and I think the other building block when it comes to community building is how it works for us is a very simple thing. But I want to say simple, but not easy. Right? It's really just to care enough for the person who's right beside you. Care enough to turn and say and ask, how are you? Not because that's the question everybody like to ask each other in the morning, right? But ask because you really want to know how the person is doing. And after you ask the question, make sure you have the space for them to share what's happening for them and you're there present with them. And if you feel that you at this moment in time struggling yourself, and let's say it's me, I'm struggling and I know I cannot hold space for a how are you, then don't ask. Just let people know, okay, today I'm not, I want to ask how are you, but I know what, I'm really not. And I think that is also something that we advocate very strongly in our space as well, in our community. I mean, I could go on and on, but I think for now it's like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I can tell that Gina and China are just like in so much resonance with what you say about how are you and making sure that you have that space available, right? It's not just a question, it's not just a transition. Yeah, many do take it transition, right? It's something that, okay, I'm done. Yeah, but that's not how a community is built and that's not how it works. I think that's a very important message. How are you? 3 words, but yet so much power. Okay. Thanks, Lina. Shana, it's your turn.
I would like to hear from China next.
Yes, you will.
Yeah. So the question that Siva is posting to us is, what words would I offer to someone if they want to come into my community? The first thing that comes to my mind is, why is it just my community? I tend to like to ask why, as you can see. Like, why is it just my community? And then I realized that I think what I'm going to share next perhaps can be something that can apply to anybody's community. Okay. Because that is how I function. So I'm going to share with you guys that the first thing that I care a lot, and the first thing that I notice is the person's gaze without even saying a word. And so that look and the gaze for me interprets as human connection. Before I want to talk to people about my vision, I want to share anything I want and have the interest and the buy-in, I think the human connection is very important. And for me, the human connection entails trust, entails the holding space, whatever the Lionel was saying, that's trust for me. The holding space also entails non-judgments. So my human connection stands from trust and non-judgment. And whatever that I have for human connection may not be what I want to build for my community. I want to start as friends first. My belief is we have to start as friends before we kind of jump in and say, okay, let's just do this community work. You know why? Because community work is really quite shitty sometimes. And you really dig deep, you get super muddy, and you want to find fellow warriors with you in this community. And I mean warriors because when I look at my teachers right now, the past 1 week, I wasn't around because I was on compassionate leave for 1 week. And now for the next 1 week, I'm not around because this morning my son just got COVID positive. So in this span of these 2 weeks, right, when I think about my teachers, I think they are fellow warriors. Why? Because I trust my life with them. That right now I'm suddenly out. My teachers are warriors with me, walking through this together and making sure that we have that clear path. Even if constantly there are new COVID regulations hit us, non-stop we have children getting positive, but my teachers will slowly ease a clear path and we'll walk through. And so for me, the basic, most important thing to join any community that you care about or you want to start is that human connection, that gaze, so that's first. Number two, it's very, it's said 100,000 times, but I stand from love. I think love for me is very important. Love as in selfless love. That I'm going to be friends with somebody, I'm going to have the human connection, but I'm not going to expect anything. But that's because I genuinely want to do it. I'm not going to be friends with somebody because I feel like I can join their community or they will be my community so that I get more followers. I never care about that. As I start off with hopscotch and brave feet, what I care about is what is my being when I connect with somebody. Like right now, what is my being when I connect with the 50 of you? Right? That for me is very important because that is the person that you see that is this a community builder that I'm going to trust? Is this a community builder that I'm going to learn from? Is this a community builder that I'm going to be warrior with? And for me, that is most important. And the love that I come from is just, it's okay to just give. Sometimes I give, but I don't get anything back, and it's fine, right? Who says must give and take? Of course, there's a balance on give and take, but it doesn't matter. That's how I feel. If there are words that I want to give you, is the human connection that I hope that you can find. And if you can't find around you, then perhaps I think you need to, for me, I keep telling people what I love to do, what I'm passionate about. And then people will start to recommend other people to me. Like, say, hey, Shina, there's this person that's very interested in childcare, children. There's this person that's very interested in using body movement to reach out to kids. There are parents that are what. So along the way, I just started attracting different people. And then we start to have a connection. So it's like dating. Okay, I really look at human connection as dating, and how I collaborate with people. It's not like, oh, you like children, you are into social emotional learning. Okay, we connect straight away. I never do that. I really date the person for almost 3 months. So I'm very slow, okay, collaboration. Every day is
I like
Valentine's
how
Day.
you have a timeline to that 3 months, right?
Yeah, so for me, I want to go for coffee with the person. I want to have meals or coffee or chit chat.
Yeah.
Invite the person into my space. I go to the person's space, or whatever. But dating for me is very important. Before I even so for you guys who want to join a community or join my community, that process for me is called dating, which means maybe perhaps like come in. So for Linus case, they are pivotal, the whole facilitation, they have camps, they have all this. That one is also dating. Yeah, that camping is dating. But for me, my dating process is like just get to know each other first. Rest, and then also understand each person's values, each person's work ethics, each person's business ethics, each person's kind of way of dealing with crisis. Of course, when things are peachy, everybody is the same. But it's when you're in crisis mode, then how do you do it? Are you aligned with it? Is it profits first? Is it your community first? So those for me is more important than just straight away dive right in and do it lah. So that's for me as when we want to collaborate.
Nice.
Yeah, okay, I will stop now.
Thanks. It's amazing. Yeah, I think you have brought a new definition of dating into the room. Like, yeah, I totally did not see that. And yeah, you've been going much about, really how when you get down to the ground and what you do. And, it also sounds like there are some form of engagements and rules that you actually hold in terms of how you connect with your communities. And I do have a few more questions lined up, but just nice. Jenny in the room has actually made a comment on, it sounds like there are some ground rules or rules of engagements in the community that you exist and you work with. And she thought that it'd be pretty good that, let's hear that, what are some rules for engagement, or, what are the values that you bring in and you work with in the communities that you are engaging, the people, be it the work, be it the, whatever it is. What are some rules or ground rules, right? Or rules for engagement? Let me paste that question in case someone missed it up. For anyone else in the room, if you like to, just add a comment or hear something that you're curious about anytime, just put it in the Zoom. Perhaps this time around, loving it. Thanks, Xiao. Yes. I think probably at this point in time, maybe, I can bring my thoughts in first. Yeah, that question, rule of engagement, right? What are the ground rules? Oh, Arun raised his hand. Okay, let me pause. Arun, do you have a question or Arun, are you there? I see that Arun has raised his hand.
Maybe he's raising his hands to say, yes, Queen.
I'm not sure. Arun, if you're unable to speak, perhaps you just want to type your thoughts or your question in the Zoom chat, and yeah, we can take it from there.
Hi.
Oh, hi. Yes.
Yes. So I was listening to Shaina's point, and I do think there is merit to the way of looking at things like in dating, right? Where you need to sort of categorically assess any space or individual that you're interacting with from different points of view, and that there is a personal sort of element or dynamic when you are entering a lot of these spaces. But I guess my question is one where in the volunteering space, there aren't clearly defined or mandated regulations, right? It is a bit of a fuzzy space by definition, and therefore it requires a certain degree of each person who's creating that space to take responsibility to ensure that there is a reasonable balance, depending on the space between the professional and the personal dynamics that are being shared with the people who are coming into that space. And I guess my question to Shaina and maybe anyone else is that whilst we are bringing in the personal element to the social compact, how do we ensure that that is not taken advantage of? Because oftentimes you see people getting disillusioned because they come in too passionate. And I use the word too because it is not sufficiently tempered with a certain degree of management of expectations and a lot of these other things. So how is it feasible to do that when you can't just expect a top-down approach of, oh, maybe MCCY or MSF needs to come in and create regulations, or especially for things like volunteer management. This is not even looking at how finances are handled, but even something as simple as volunteer management.
Hey, thanks, Arun, for bringing your voice into the room. Let me just check with the ladies if they actually get the question. Are you okay to get the question, Shaina? Or would you like Arun to just repeat again the question?
Yes, please. Arun, could you just repeat? Sorry that in between my son came in and said his cartoon ended. So sorry. Sorry.
No worries. Basically, the volunteer space, which I guess is very similar to what we are talking about here, requires a very interesting social compact where people come in with both a personal and a professional element, a dynamic to the social compact. And whilst it is laudable that people come in with a personal drive, a personal motivation, how do we adequately temper the personal element with the professional element so that volunteers' welfares, volunteers' expectations, and basically all of our expectations are managed well? Because we don't have any proper regulations, because to draw an example, in the corporate setting, you have HR, and HR has very clear guidelines, but volunteer management usually does not. So how do we manage it in a slightly grayer space?
Thank you, Arun, for the question. So I have never done volunteer management before, but if I want to relate back to, if I want to ask myself, in my current student care space and the community that I work for, I will ask, how do I get my parents to buy into me beyond okay, this founder is quite passionate? How do I get my teachers to buy into me? Okay, I get it, I'm a student care teacher. I get it so how do I get them buy-in to what I'm going to do? And also including the children that I have. So currently we have 80 kids with me, right? So how do I get their buy-in? So if I may, hold on. Evan, you can watch superhero, okay. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Okay, so I hope that if I can think about how do I get them to come in and be with me on my vision beyond just, okay, passion, right? That I'm very clear on my vision. There are 3 visions that I hold close to. There are 3 visions that I hold very close to, whether or not it's Brave Feeds or whether or not it's my personal vision, that parents, children, everybody that comes through, they know this is the vision. And they know it when I make decisions and I explain to them that this decision was made because of vision 1. This decision was made because of this part. And everybody is aligned. So for example, what if somebody is not aligned? Parents are not aligned and children are not aligned, teachers are not aligned. What do? I think about the gap and I think about where are they coming from. Of course, I think my situation is a bit different because volunteers come and go. volunteers come and go as and when, but ours is they are committed to us. So perhaps I think my question to you with the volunteers that come through to you is, are they clear about what does your group stands for beyond I'm volunteer for this club? Am I clear what the chairperson of this volunteer club is standing for? Why do they make such decisions? Why? You know, and I think that a lot of times having that circle time. So I have circle time with parents, I have circle time. So circle time for me means a group of people sitting together and just talking about what's on their mind, right? So I have circle time with parents, circle time with teachers, circle time with children. And this to me constantly is the human connection, the understanding, actually, why are you doing this? You know, and constantly clarifying, aligning, and aligning. And so along the way, we start to develop, I think along the way, we start to understand better or trust each other better, because that circle time is practicing the holding space and trusting each other. And so I guess this is how I seek clarity from parents and alignment from everybody, so that everybody that follows and join Brave Feet's community is very clear. You can ask anybody, and then we do that. And I also constantly have a lot of communication. So as a student care, I think that I communicate a lot. I have monthly newsletter, I have social media, I have different things to connect to them constantly back to my vision, because my vision is 3 points: positive space, joyful child, impacting community. So they can see that in everything that I do. So yeah. I hope I answer your question, Arun. If not, please ask again any question and I will try and answer again.
Yeah, I also thank you, Shaina, and also Arun, for the question. Was really, as this conversation is going on in my mind, I'm also thinking, with regards to this question, right? So I think one of the things I like to add on is, I think it's a lot to do with culture, especially I think when it comes to volunteer management. Yeah, because I was just thinking, right? I mean, definitely, like for me personally, I've done some volunteer work, which also means that I've been part of some volunteer groups before. Then there have been experiences even for myself where I go in, I do volunteer work, and then I come out very shortly after and I don't go back. But there also have been experiences where I go in and I keep going back, wanting to go back. Even if I cannot be there, I feel like I want to be there. I will, like, in my mind, at the back of my head, while I'm still busy with work and whatnot, right? I'll still wonder, like, okay, when can I find time to go there? So then I was asking myself, so what puts me in that space? Like, why certain spaces I want to be there? Well, then I realized, okay, yes, it's to do with the culture. And I think especially in the volunteer scene, right? Not that I know everything about it, but from whatever in my own experience, I feel that because when it comes to volunteering, right, there's literally no obligations. You see, it's not like you are a staff in a company and you're a paid salary, and even if on days you feel like you don't want to go to work, you still have to go to work, right? But how effective you are is a different question altogether. But when it comes to volunteer scene, it's very different, because people can go, people can don't go. There's really no obligation. So one thing I think is, sorry, I was saying culture. Sorry, the other thing is, of course, there can be this thing called code and ethics. I think every organization will have it. Like, when you come into this space, these are the things you have to take note of. These are things you can do. These are things you cannot do. Where is the line of professionalism, for example? Like, all these things can be put on paper. But I think all of us here, or I would like to think most of us here, know that whatever's on the paper, a lot of times can just end up being on the paper, right? So then that's where the cultural piece comes in. I feel that when someone enters the space, a volunteering space, right, the first thing they experience is just being in the space. What is this space telling me? When they look at how people are interacting with each other, how people are interacting with them when they enter the space, it says a lot about the culture. And I feel that that is the part where actually it takes a lot more effort than the naked eye can see, right? It takes a lot of years of building, a lot of moments of interaction, a lot of like, I go back to the same thing where I said about the care that people have for each other, the care that people have for the cause that we are all here for in the volunteering space. Yeah, and I think there's so many things that goes on, right, that actually builds the culture and builds the experience. Yeah, so I mean, of course, I cannot spell out every single thing, right, that needs to be taken care of as part of culture building. But I think one of the biggest things I can say is really whether there is a climate of trust in the space. When I come into this space, can I be myself? Even though I may be shitty that day, I may be feeling like, wow, right now in my life, I'm not in a good place. I just want to be here. Can I be that person? Or can I be an excited ball of joy? You know, can I just be myself? And I think when people can feel like they are themselves, that's where the climate of trust is created, is there. Yeah, the moment the person come in and feel that, well, I need to hide this part of myself, I cannot say this. They're wondering, can I say this? Yeah, all these are indicators that the space is not safe enough. There's not enough trust in the space, and so, yeah, culture. Yes, that's for me.
Thanks, Shaina and Lina. Hey everyone in the room. I'm very amazed that there are more thoughts and people are actually willingly offering, right, their own circumstances and how do they deal with it. So please do have a look through. Some of them are really interesting. Yeah. Hey Shaina, Lina, I think something that you mentioned about, you're really getting down to how do you take care of the culture, how do you take care of the space, and you really bring yourself in. And something really interesting was, it's not just something that you put down on a piece of paper, but it's actually how you behave and how you hold, right, that code of ethics, or how you hold that space of being clear with your communications and working on trusting and building trust. It's just how you bring yourself in. I'm curious, Gina, do you have anything to chime in terms of the responses that Shaina and Lina have been giving?
Yeah, I think as Shaina and Lina was speaking, right, what really, like, the thing that came to my mind was that community building takes intention. Yeah. There may be a bigger goal that everyone is working towards, right? And like the more clarity you have on which bus you are taking towards that destination, the more you are able to share with others that, like, hey, this is what I personally believe in, and this is the direction that I'm going to go. So if you believe that the route that I'm taking is the best route, then you can follow me and board this bus together with me, and we can travel there together. If not, right, then it's that person's choice to sort of like open up their like have curiosity to explore the different bus routes to go to that destination that everyone sees. Yeah. And I think just in general, as much as we would like to communicate our values, right, something that also came to mind was also, ultimately it's impossible to change how a person is thinking or feeling about certain things. What we can do is that we can share our perspective, and if that person doesn't align with it, then thank you, next lah. Yeah, like there's no offense. It's just a personal thing, and as long as you are clear on what you are looking for and you are clear on what you are working towards, then even if someone doesn't, join you in that bus route, like, it's fine lah, because everyone is going towards the same direction. It's just a different route. Yeah, so that was what was coming to my mind as Lina and Shaina was sharing. Yeah.
Nice. I like how we have come back one full circle to the bus interchange.
Yeah.
Let's take a different bus of topic, all right? Brandon did bring up something, and Rachel as well, which I was going into next. Culture, right? Culture, the climate of trust, and we have moved into a very interesting part of our community, is the culture. Sometimes there are communities that I see, I go like, oh my God, what is happening? It's like, I totally don't resonate with this. And the other part is we vibe so much with the community that we want to be involved. But what I'm curious is, you can't be there 24/7, all right, to hold the culture or to monitor, right? And so how do you get that culture still going, still moving in the direction that aligns with the vision, right? How do you get the people in the community to hold the culture as well? But how do you do that?
Siva,
I hope
I'm
none
sorry,
of them.
if you don't mind, can you type your question into the...
I think someone will type. Someone will type. Oh, there we go.
Oh, got
Shall we
it.
start the
Thank you so
question?
much.
Yeah, I'm perhaps I'll just shed some light a little bit more. Like I think so I work in a training company too, and there are so many freelancers that come in, and those freelancers, they are also, they have their own lives. They are also involved in volunteer work. Some of them, they work with kids outside of the work. Some of them, they do green sustainability work. Some of them do environment. There's just so much going on, and they are very robust individuals, very different individuals with so much of perspective and so much of energy. Some of them come in like, like half dead. Some of them come in like so full of life, and it's just so much of clashing going on. And just being part of that community, right? I'm one of the full timers, and I take it upon myself that whenever I'm in that space, I hold that culture. I hold the culture of who we are and what we stand for, right? But what happens when I'm not around, or when there are no one else of my full time team that is around? Then how do we actually work towards getting the people within the community to hold that culture, right? Yeah, and I think that's something that everybody has been circling around. What are things that you see? How do you engage them? Yeah, but the curiosity is, once you remove yourself, when you're not there physically, when you're not present, then how do you get the people to hold the culture together with you? Yeah, and this is something that I'm still learning myself. So I'm curious. So I'm throwing out the question, and two or three of them in the room have similar questions around culture. Right? How do we get people to hold the culture together with you? Yeah, whoever is ready can just respond. We love to hear what's going on. And again, we are all looking up. I love it. Gina, would you like to go first?
Wow, that's a very, very tough question.
Yes,
Yeah.
indeed. I don't have the answers, but I'm curious. Like, what do
Yeah.
you see, right? What do you see? Because not necessarily what works for me works for you or for
Mm.
someone else in the room.
Maybe I can go first.
All
Oh.
right,
Gina is like, oh my God, yes.
That sense of relief though. I think first I want to say is it's not like I got the answers lah. Okay, but I can share my thoughts around this. So firstly, I don't think it's just about the how. Because usually when people think about the how, they're thinking about, okay, step one, what do I need to do? Step two, what I need to do? And what do I need to do for this year or whatever it is, right? So yeah, that being said, it's not that I'm discounting the how. I think the how is very important, because if the how is not there, then people also don't know what to do. Especially if you're new in the space, right? Then of course you want to know the how, right? Yeah, how do I go about doing things in this culture? But I think more importantly is well, how do I even say this? I feel like this thing I'm trying to describe is so intangible. Yeah, which is why I'm saying that it's not really just about the how. Um, okay, so maybe I can quote an example how it works. Like, okay, I'm going again to how, but the way it works in our circle, right, is, remember I said that I'm the facility liaison. I'm the one that is accountable, right? I'm the one who's in touch with all the facilitators and making sure that they're doing well. Even if they're not, then there's a space for them to come and talk about it, right? And the work is being done and things like that. But it cannot be a case where there's 100 over facilitators, right? And there's only like me handling. Yeah. So at one point in our journey, right, I realized that cannot be happening, and that was what was happening. So we did hit a wall, right, whereby what if I'm down, which happened when I had my own struggles and I couldn't be there, the team struggled a little bit, right, with the facilitators. So then that's when it hit me, and it hit me very hard, and I think it hit the team quite hard as well. And I started to think about, what else needs to happen, right, in the space. So that's when I told the team, I said, okay, from now on, right, it cannot be just me. It has to be, let's take the whole full-time team, right? We separate, we divide and conquer, we divide all the facilitators. Let's put different people under different trainers. So that right now, I'm not the only contact point, but everybody, every facilitator will have a contact point with me, and they also will have another contact point with another trainer, right? Because Yeah, so that happened, and that was really very helpful for us, right? And so that is actually still the how. This is how we did it. But I think what was really beautiful for me to watch is when that happened, right? When the space opened up for this possibility, it is the way that my trainers, my fellow trainers, took upon themselves how they connected with the facilitators. That was what made the magic work, right? Because I can just be sending you a message every day, and or you know, once a month, and go, okay, hi Gina, how are you today? How's the program? Shaina, how's the program? You know, like we can do that, right? But it is when you do that, who are you when you're doing that? What kind of energy do you bring with you? What kind of attitude do you bring with you when you connect with the facil? How are they experiencing you? Are they just hearing a question, or are they feeling that you are there with them? You want to be there with them. You really want to know what's happening with them, and do they feel safe with you? So going back to all those things, I feel is what builds the culture. So it cannot be about just one person or two person, or and I think you all know, like what, yeah, it's just like it really cannot be about one person. But some communities I know can thrive that way, but some just don't. Yeah, like if you look at like one example is like Tony Robbins. If there's no Tony Robbins, I don't think there's a company, because he is the person, right? Whereby there are some companies is you don't even know who is the CEO of the company. You don't know who's the main person. When you go there, you experience everyone. So it's really back to the clarity of the culture. What do you all want to have as a culture when you're in this team, in this group, in this community? Because like it or not, we are all serving someone, and the strength of the community determines the impact that this community has on the larger community. Yeah, so I hope that answers that. That is what's coming up for me.
Yeah. I think something that you just to concise that thoughts a little bit is, you know, between accountability and being responsible, right? What are you accountable for and what are you responsible for? I think something that also caught my attention is as you demonstrate what is the culture that we want to set in, like how do we take care of each other, it also tells me that you open up spaces for the rest to demonstrate the same culture with one another, right? It's not just between the trainer and the facilitators, but it's between the facils and the facilitators as well, right? Yeah, I think yeah, something that you said, you know, demonstrating how do we want to hold the culture and why is it so important. Yeah, you give explicit permission for the people in the community to open up the same way as well. Yeah. Nice. Thank you, Lina. Shaina and Gina. Oh, the next. We have about another 5 minutes. Yeah, I think this will be our final conversations and thoughts. And the question is still the same though, the culture, right? How do we hold? And how do we get the people in the community to hold the culture?
So okay, I let me just add like my 2 cents on this. Right? Okay,
Yes,
not 2
please.
cents,
Add many cents.
my 1 cent. Okay, my 1 cent on this. I think for the community that I am part of, right, or how I see myself in the community, whenever someone joins or leaves the community, sorry, just looking at it, just to give some context, the community that I'm looking at is a lot more like in my work team, where the team is very small. For every person that joins and leaves the team, right, there's an impact on the team. And every time someone joins or leaves the community or the team itself, right, the dynamics will shift. And I think that's like it's just a fact. And the more presence you have in the team, the larger the shift is. Yeah. And I think that in terms of how can you keep a community to hold that culture, right, is that as long as that larger goal is clear, that community and how you get there, right, will continuously shift. So as people join and leave the bus, that bus may change the route, but the destination is the same. Yeah. So that's how I see it. And I think Yifeng in the chat has also mentioned, right, it really evolves over time and I think I really agree with that as well. Yeah, so that's my like 1 cent. So I'm gonna pass to Shaina to like
Hey, there's definitely more than 1 cent's worth, Gina. Come on. China.
Yes, I'm mindful of the time as well. Um, I- the culture for me, I resonate with what Yifeng says, that it evolves over time. And why I say that is because I believe that the culture has to be built by the people that are believing in that vision. So I do not want to mix vision and culture, but I do feel that if I go back to the alignment and the intention and the purpose, when people coming in have that, then the culture start to build. Which is why sometimes if we go to various restaurants, the chain restaurants that we go to or anything, they are different, right? Is it because they have different? Why is the culture different? But like Aston's, for example, Aston's in Pasir Ris, Aston's in East Coast or what, they are all different kind because it's the people that determine the culture. So how will I keep the culture moving? For me, in my opinion, is that I want to be interested in the volunteers that are with you, or whether or not it's in your corporate or in your volunteer club, the club that you're in, that whether or not are they resonating? Are they resonating with your vision? Are you also serving their passion? Because we cannot assume that, oh, they volunteer with us, so they believe in us. We cannot assume that. We must go back to, we exist as a club or as a HR corporate because we want to serve a certain group. And now there are this group of people that wants to do that as well. We are the bridge, we are the transition. So I believe that this bridge and transition is where we keep the culture moving. How do we get the whole community to hold that culture as well? I don't know how else to say it, but it's the human connection, it's the love to find your fellow warriors, that let's join in this and move together. I also believe in the empowerment between volunteers, where they do see themselves able to value add and see that they are beyond just come and go, like beyond, yeah. Sorry, I may not be answering these questions very well because I'm also not sure. I think I'm just going with what I feel, that for me, I really feel culture really, really depends on who is in the club. Who is there with you. But as the person, like I said, as a leader, right? Of course, we have that code of conduct, we have that whatever. But if I take all of that away, as a leader, who do you want your volunteers to see you as the leader of this club or as one of the leaders, right? And how do you bring them closer to your own personal values and your own and the club's vision? And that bridge and that transition, I think is very important, and it's up to each club to see how you want to do that, whether or not it's orientation, circle time, whatever. But I do, at the end of the day, is culture evolves. And it has to, most importantly, be applicable to the group that you're serving in service of. I cannot have a culture 10 years ago, student care 10 years ago, and still continue that culture today. It's definitely not in service of our children now. So I think that's something that I think about a lot. Yeah. So hopefully, I hope I did answer some questions that is on your mind. If not, then sorry.
No, wonderful. We are just looking for a response. There's no right response to this. Thank you, Shaina. I think that's all the time we have today. I'm not exactly sure what happened to Lina, but it looks like she got disconnected.
I'm back here. I'm back here.
Oh,
Y'all
you're
can't
back.
see me.
Yeah.
Can't see me, is it?
No, I can't see you, but it's fine. Yeah.
Okay,
I think,
okay.
yeah, I think I will just wrap up. I think I need to hand over the time already. I'm just being conscious. I think what everyone has brought into the room, right? The culture, how do we really take care of it in the communities that we are taking care of and we are part of. And for everyone in the room, there is just so much of nuggets and so much of wisdom that has been moving through the session. So please do look at the Zoom chat. Yeah, there's just so much going on there. And thank you, ladies, Shaina, Gina, and Lina. Just for bringing in your stories and your wisdoms. Right? It's not don't have to worry that is this the right way or is this the only way, but it is your way, right? And that is so important that you bring yourself into the community and not just stand out of it and try to figure out what's going on. Only when you move in then you see what's going on. Awesome. Thank you.